This is Ron Ketelsen, and I am glad you are joining us for another program sponsored by the Sharon Historical Society. Before we begin, I want to give a disclaimer. This program contains historical accounts, language, and images that some viewers may find disturbing or difficult. The narratives and photographs presented here are authentic first-person testimonies from individuals who lived through and survived enslavement in America. These stories are shared in their own words, preserving the original language and dialects as they were recorded. These testimonies are presented unaltered out of respect for those who shared their experiences and to preserve the historical truth of their lives. These voices deserve to be heard as they were spoken and are intended to honor the memory and resilience of those who endured one of history's greatest injustices. Imagine today being asked to tell your life story when you're 90 years old. You would probably talk about your childhood, your family, the games you played, and the challenges you faced. Now, imagine that your childhood included being owned by another human being, that you were bought and sold like property, that your family could be torn apart at any moment. In the 1930s, America was struggling through the Great Depression. Millions of people were out of work. To help create jobs, President Franklin D. Roosevelt created programs called the New Deal. One of these programs was the Federal Writers Project, which employed writers, teachers, and journalists to document American life and history. So researchers said, what if we interviewed the last living generation of people who had experienced slavery? Time was running out. These individuals were very old, and soon their memories would be lost forever. So writers fanned out across 17 states, primarily in the South, with notebooks and sometimes recording equipment. These elderly men and women were in their 80s, 90s, and some even claimed to be over 100 years old. They had been children when slavery ended in 1865, and now, over 8 decades later, they were willing to share their memories. More than 2,300 people were interviewed. Their words were written down and preserved. Many were also photographed. Together, these interviews and photographs created the largest collection of first-person accounts of American slavery. These voices, recorded, transcribed, and paired with photographs, form one of the most powerful archives of American history. This is not history written by those who enslaved. This is history told by those who survived. The interviewers were both black and white, though most were white. This is important to remember because some formerly enslaved people may have been cautious about what they said to white interviewers, especially in the segregated South, where speaking freely could still be dangerous. Despite this limitation, the narratives they collected are invaluable historical documents. These interviews give us something that history books written by others cannot, the actual voices and perspectives of people who lived through slavery. They tell us not just what happened, but what it felt like to experience it. The results of these digitally enhanced recordings are arresting, almost unbelievable. The idea of hearing the voices of actual slaves from the plantations of the Old South is as powerful, as startling, really, as if you could hear Abraham Lincoln or Robert E. Lee speak.
Tell you the truth, when I think of it today, I don't know how I'm living.
I remember that just as well look like to me, I can't.
Been slaves all our lives, and mother was a slave, sister was a slave, father was a slave.
They know enough about reading right. All that I know, they teach you to mind your master and your missus. Mom and them didn't know where to go to see after she would go. Just like you turn something out, didn't know where to go.
In 1974, a woman from Tyler, Texas, named Cela Black, at the age of 114 years old, and shortly before her death, recalled picking cotton as a child born into slavery. Let's listen to a short excerpt of her story.
You never said cotton or nothing.
I've been doing nothing but working the field. Working the field, oh goodness. And me, my husband would go out west and pick cotton. Pick cotton. Go out west every year. We've been this year going out there picking cotton.
Cela Black was alive when Abraham Lincoln was president and lived to see the resignation of President Richard Nixon.
Man, you remember Abraham Lincoln? Feather man? Oh, well, they gave him a good name. Oh, Abraham Lincoln. They thought Abraham was this. They thought everybody thought Abraham was the best feather daddy there was. My grandfather had some big old oxen. He had one with a big wide horns. Oh, it looked like a house. Wide horns. And I used to sit up there and clean them horns. And then his name was Coley. His name was Coley, and the other one was named Larry.
Next is a recording of two former slaves from the United States recorded in the 1940s as part of the Slave Narrative Project. One of the individuals' names is Joe McDonald. The woman is unidentified, but they were both slaves. Here, they're talking about their experiences working in the field and working in the house.
Well, can't you tell a story about your girlhood days and about who raised you? Go ahead.
Come on, James.
No, you. Yeah, you.
Oh, I always was a good girl. I don't know any stories on me.
Well, did you work in the field or you work in the house?
I was working in the field and the house, too. Both places. But I like the field the best.
Why do you like the field the best?
Well, just 'cause I catch more good breeze and more good fresh air out in the field than I does in the kitchen in the house. Now you know that.
I didn't go to the field till I was 19 years
I
old.
love the field.
I went to the field when I was 19 years old, and I remember the old boy said, well, Joe, us had 3 gyms there. We had one gym, had 2 Jim Max and 1 Jim Turner, Kenneth. And my brother Jim Mack, he was the colored fella in the white gym, He went with my old boss to look for the Jim Kenneth, and they put me to flying, Said, Joe, said, I want you to go up there on the while the baby is asleep. The fly said, when Miss Dora called you, go back to the house and see to the baby. So baby went to sleep, slept 2 or 3 hours, and I flied to the old boy sat back. But I didn't like the field. Didn't go to the field, it was 90. Didn't go to the field, it was 90. What kind of work did you like best in the field?
Picking cotton.
Picking cotton?
Picking cotton.
How much could you pick in a day?
Well, 150, 60, 70.
Here, Joe McDonald reminisces on an episode that happened when he was given a choice between working in the house and working in the field.
Now then they said, Miss Dora had a horse named John. And said, Joe, reckon you can plow old John? I said, yes, I know I can. Which had you rather do? Go down in the field, plow old John, and that's the baby. I said, oh, I want to go to the field. He looked at me and laughed. You know what I tell you? You know what, I'd rather be in the house than be in the field. He said, well, you go out there and check the old John, go down there and fly Miss Dora's hat. And I went, caught old John, hit him to the turning plant, went down there and fly fast, and come down and sitting there by a big old big left on the street. I said, now let's see. George said, sir, did you fly Miss Dora's hat? I said, no, yes, no. He said, they got old John going to house see the baby. I remember that difference, good.
From Joe McDonald's conversations, it sounds as though the slaves on that plantation weren't treated that bad. However, the fact remains that they were slaves and not free to do as they saw fit in life. They were born into slavery, born with the mindset that they weren't as good as the person who owned them. In the case of Joe McDonald, for example, he appears that he had a good life, but he's basing that good life on the life of a slave. He has nothing to compare it to. He doesn't know what real freedom is. He was brought up with a mindset that he was inferior to the people that owned him. Fountain Hughes was 101 years old when he recorded his interview in Baltimore, Maryland. His voice, captured on one of the earliest audio recordings of a formerly enslaved person, trembles with age but carries unmistakable clarity.
My name is Fountain Hughes. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia. My grandfather belonged to Thomas Jefferson. My grandfather was 115 years old when he died. And now I am 101 years old. Her people didn't have no beds when they were slaves. She won't sleep on the floor. Sat up here, sat up there. Just like a lot of wild people. We didn't know nothing. Didn't like to look at no book. Night never comes out. You have nothing to do. Time to cut tobacco. If they want you to cut all night long out in the field, you cut. And if they want you to hang all night long, you hang tobacco. It didn't matter about your being tired, you're afraid to say you're tired. They just, well, now I couldn't go from here, across the street, or I couldn't go to nobody's house without I have a note or something from my master. And if I had that pass, I was going to call a pass. If I had that pass, I could go wherever he sent me. And I'd have to be back. Whoever he sent me to, they'd give me another pass, and I'd bring that back so it's to show how long I'd been gone. We couldn't go out and stay an hour or 2 hours or something like that. They send you, now say for instance, I'd go to the Shirley's place. I'd have to walk, and I'd have to be back maybe in an hour, maybe they'd give me an hour, I don't know just how long they'd give me. But they'd give me a note so there wasn't nobody interfere with me to tell who I belonged to. And when I come back, I carry it to my master and give that to him, that'd be all right. But I couldn't just walk away like the people does now, you know. It's what they call, we were slaves, we belonged to people. They sell us like you sell horses or cows, and hogs and all like that, have an auction bench, and put you up on the bench and bid on you, just bidding on cattle, you know. If I thought, had any idea that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog. You're not a thing but a dog. No, walk. You be barefooted, cold, nothing. You wasn't no more than a dog, son of a. You wasn't treated as good as you treat dogs now. But still, I didn't like to talk about it because it makes people feel bad. Well, I could say a whole lot I don't like to say. I won't say a whole lot.
Here is 91-year-old Laura Smalley talking about the outcome of a confrontation between two women, one black, one white, one slave, one mistress. The mistress tried to slap the slave, but the black woman pushed her into a chair. Laura Smalley was a girl at the time, but she remembers vividly what happened to the black woman when the master came home.
Well, the thing that old woman told old woman cat in the peach orchard and whipped her. and, just tied her hand this way, around the peach orchard tree. I remember that just as well looked like to me, I can. And round the tree and whipped her. Well, she couldn't do nothing but just kick her feet, just kick her feet. But it just had her clothes all down to her waist, It didn't have her plumb naked, but they had her clothes down to her waist. And every now and then they'd whip her, and then snuff the pipe out on her, snuff the pipe out on her. The embers in the pipe. Where you ever see the pipe smoking.
Blow them out on her?
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm. But you see, we were glad to go out there where it was, because our old marshal was whoopers, and then Uncle Saul was whoopers. You see that at the overseer, Uncle Saul. Her papa was overseer. But he had a whooper. One whooped her too. Well, he whooped her so then at night they had to grease her back. Grease her back. I don't know what kind of grease they had, but they sure grease her back. That night, that way. He just grease her back. And so after they whooped her so long, that way, they quit. They couldn't give her her dinner. Late that evening, they gave her her dinner. Late that, she so whooped so bad then, she didn't want to eat, If you put whoop you half a day, you ain't want to eat. No, because the child, you can whoop a little child now. He'll get mad, and don't want to eat nothing. So Uncle Saul, then he'll go whoop my mama. We had a brother, the oldest brother named Cal, and he was going to whoop my mother's boy, Pat Water. Well, she was going to fight him. You see, she was going to fight him. You see, one portion of the people belonged to Mr. Bethany, and one portion, belonged to his wife. Wife, just like, we have a lot of niggas, and they give you a portion of them, and the wife portion of them. Her people give you a piece of them, and then your people give you some. Well, that makes two parts. You got a part, and your wife got a part, colored folks that way. And so Miss Adeline wouldn't let Uncle Saul whoop her. That was her side, that wasn't her nigga. She wouldn't let Saul whoop her that way. Well, then they called her a sassy nigga.
George Johnson had the unique experience of being owned by Jefferson Davis and his family. Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States of America, elected in 1861, and a fierce opponent of abolition and a supporter of states' rights. With this reputation, I found it interesting that Mr. Johnson described him as a fair, even kind, at times, owner. His experience is very different than the norm. The only incident he recounts that even hints at violence against a slave is the story of a young boy who was having trouble keeping up with the rest of the group while hoeing a line while in the field. The foreman wanted to whip him, but the boy ran to Jefferson Davis and informed him of the incident. Jefferson Davis sent the boy to get breakfast and fired the foreman. And even though George Johnson had been free for almost 80 years at the time of the interview, he still referred to his former master as Master Jeff and spoke highly of him.
I got my name from President Jeff Davis, the president of the Southern Confederacy. He owned my grandfather and my father. He brought them from Richmond, Virginia. My grandfather was a blacksmith. My father was a young kid, wasn't grown. And my father had learned how to write a little bit in Richmond, Virginia before he brought him down here. Grandpa used to keep chalk in his shop to mark the other things. And my father took a piece, put it in his pocket, and passing from Marsh Jeff's house, he was right on the sidewalk. And so one morning, Marsh Jeff come by and saw that writing on the wall. He go back, asked the cook, who lived alive, he's writing on the sidewalk. Who write out there? He said, I don't know, Marsh Jeff. They come out there, I'll show you that I can read it. So he read it. He said, Miller, if you find whoever might walk out there, I carry out the store and give you a pretty dress. She said, yes, Master. So one morning she's out cleaning out some dishwater. And she cleaned out the dish pan and she looked around and saw my father down on his knees right on the sidewalk. She He told Master Jeff's son for the boy to come to the shop, come to the house, and asked him for him how to write. He said, Master Jeff, I learned how to write in this machine. Little white boy learned how to write. Before he went down there. He did, yes. He gave him pencil. So I write my name. My father's name, my idea. He called it Mike. Write my name. He wrote Jeff Davis' name. He wrote Joe Davis. He wrote Joe Davis. He wrote Vicksburg. He wrote Vicksburg. He said, Ike, that's too nice for you. And Sam went back to the shop, and Master Jeff's son for Richmond, Virginia, and got 2 teachers. He opened a night school. He educated all these niggas. He made my father civil engineer. And they made Cotton Island Montgomery his bookkeeper. And on, they made different ones, farmers, carpenters, sawmills, gins, and all like that. That's the victim of my father and Cotton Island Montgomery. Cotton Island was born days ago. He was born on the Hurricane Plantation, just giant piece of Briarfield. I was born on Briarfield. Master Jeff had 5 plantations over there. Hurricane, Briarfield, Hurricane, Palmyra, and Lake Place. It all belonged to Master Jeff. And he had all those niggas from different places, all the parents to come to that school, night school. He gave them all a farm education. When they all got free, they could take care of themselves. He had so much business he couldn't hire people who got business. He just kicked. He needed education so he could tend to his business. And everyone to learn to tend to Master Jeff's business. Everyone admired him, obeyed him. Kept while he's gone, he obeyed Master Jeff. Once Master Jeff was going to land in the boogie, in the hack, the gate was locked. The same old man I tell you about, old man Jack Rennie, he got to the gate, he said, Master Jeff, this gate's locked. He said, well, Jack, it's locked, it's my gate, bring it down. It's my gate. Some of the boys picked it up. And Jack didn't break down the gate, he took the fence down and threw on through there, and the wagon on behind, understand, with the band, cams and land. And when they come back, they put the fence up. As they ripped on Master Jeff in his Negro. And when they met his Negro on the road, first thing Master Jeff was looking at and seeing is his hat turn. And everyone giving the same thing back. Get him on. And when he come home from New Orleans up to the Bend, steamboat landed. He's unloading freight and loading cotton. And he did the bed there asleep. The captain said, Mr. Davis up? No, he ain't up. I really come up, really wake up. Mr. Davis wake up, and they come downstairs, you pick up chair and all, pack it up out on the land, set it down high the hack, and you get up and buy that boot the 3rd time before you get in his hack. You never allowed him to do it like that. You just obeyed him, right? They all obeyed Master Jeff. The white people would always go to the bank and go fishing and hunting on the banks when Master Jeff would be in the bed sleep. They never do anything like that. They always obeyed him all the time, white and black. He gave him on. His best man would escort him home, escort him back when he got ready. And he don't pass there one day on Lake Place. He told the schoolyard. Said, the schoolyard, I'm going home tomorrow. Said, don't forget to feed my niggas. And they get through laying by his crops. Let them be in wood, let them cut cordwood. But don't disturb them. I want them undisturbed. If anything happened to any of my niggas, always read to see Mr. Davis. And don't forget, I'm Mr. Davis.
Louisa Adams was born in Rockingham, Richmond County, North Carolina. She was 8 years old when the Yankees came through North Carolina. The slave children were sent to work at the salt mines. Her parents were sent to work in the gardens and take care of the plantation hogs. Louisa Adams said while in slavery, life was almost unbearable. The slave's master's name was Tom Covington. Louisa recalled that many nights they had to work in order to just stay alive. Louisa Adams recalled that they were so hungry they would have to steal or perish just to survive. They also stole some hogs because they had no food and their master did not feed them. When the Yankees came through, they ransacked the plantation, killing off the animals. Let's listen to her story.
You got one pair of shoes a year, and when they wore out, we went barefooted. Sometimes us tied them up with strings, and they were so raggedy that the tracks looked like bird tracks when we walked in the road. My brother wore his shoes out and had none all through the winter. His feet cracked open and bled so bad, could track him by the blood in the snow. So you asked me about death, huh? When a slave died, master sent a couple of niggas out to bury the body. And he say, don't be long and no singing and praying loud. He say, put him in the ground, cover him up, hurry back in the field, you hear me? Yes, sir, master. Yes.
Isa Mosley was born into slavery on the plantation of Lewis Buckley Mosley in Dallas County, Alabama, and was son of Warren and Tenny Mosley. Isam's mother died when he was young. He moved to Gee's Bend, Alabama at the age of 17 and lived the rest of his life there. He lived until 1944 and was part of the slave narrative program and was interviewed in 1939.
My name is Isa Mosley, raised up in old time now mother. My old master, Mr. Ray. My master was named Louis Mosley. My mistress was named Blanche Mosley. And that's my mother was a housewoman, and this after she died, my father was a field hand, and white folks kept me around the house to cool water, house boy like, and they had two weavers, weaving, had two of them running every day. And then, as I went on to tell you about the made lasses way back again, and they had no iron mill like you got made wood, had carpenters made wood made. And they grind that lashes, and they had about big killers to make it in, had to point thick killers on. And when that lashes was made, they had poplar troll to pull that lashes in, no barrels at all. And I never see the barrel along then, nothing but troll. And when you get your lashes made, they had plank to cover them trolls. Oh, for cover. You told me something about the way to make soap. When I was a boy, they used to make soap. Well, I was large enough to tote water to the soap maker to put on ash hopper. Now, they didn't have no barrel. They had bowls, and their bowls coming that way, that way. Bowls just too fast. Well, on each end, they lay some crossway to hold ashes. And then I'd tote water and put on that ash hopper for the soap maker. I did make soap for the whole plantation. And make it by 2 or 3 bars. And long then, Cap, I ain't seen no bar soap. The mother had some, but I never seen none. And they had something dug in the ground, a hole, deep hole, and walled up on each side of the plank. Well, it's about 3 foot deep, I reckon. And I can come at about 8 or 10 foot long. Well, the tan leather. They lay a bark down in that hole, and then they lay a layer of hide over that bark. And then they would lay another layer of bark and another layer of hide till they got it like they want. And then they'd fill that thing up with water. But now, before they tan that, and they had a place to put it in to get, lay a while and get the howl. And when they got on that level, it's just like any tan level. And they had a man that'd make shoes for all of us. Now we was children, good sized children going about. That shoemaker made shoes for we children. And the old folk too. We had mighty good white folk. My members, far as I could remember, mighty good. Mighty good. They must have been good after the country surrendered. Didn't none move there after surrender. One moved there on the place.
What happened after surrender?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, now, they tell me to a year for the folk know that they was free. And when they found out they was free, they worked on shells, they tell me. Worked on shells. Didn't rent no land, they worked on shells. Now, I was a boy, I'm going to explain it the best of my understanding. They say they worked on shells. I think they said to, what it, fourth or third, I think. They got the third, I think they said what they made after surrender.
Here we see a newspaper clipping from the 6th of March, 1929. It is a story about Martha Haley of Calhoun, Tennessee.
Headline, ex-slave, over 100, sold 5 times, bore 19 children, 14 were twins. The 6th of March, 1929, Athens, Tennessee, being the mother of 19 children, of which there were 5 sets of twins, does not seem remarkable to Aunt Martha Haley of Calhoun, Tennessee. She is a typical Southern black mammy. The hardest thing about rearing a large family is finding names for them, she said. She has outlived the majority of her children. Only 6 are living, 4 sons and 2 daughters. With 50 years and 10 well on the wane, Aunt Martha is still healthy and hearty. Her exact age is not known, but according to her statement, she is considerably past the century mark. She had several grown children during the Civil War 52 years ago, she says. She was born in Franklin County, Virginia, and was sold 5 times. The last time she was brought to Tennessee and sold to Alf Swafford of Calhoun, Tennessee, for $1,000. She remained with the Swaffords until she was emancipated. Her husband, Charlie Haley, was a Union soldier.
Mary Von Reynolds was born into slavery in approximately 1847 to Sally and Tom Vaughn in Mississippi. She spoke on many aspects of slavery in her lengthy interview for the Slave Narrative Project. However, here we will listen to just a bit of her story as she talks about the difficult life the slaves endured and the brutal treatment they received from their overseer, Solomon.
Slavery was the worst days was ever seed in the world. They was things past telling, but I got the scars on my old body to show to this day. I seed worse than what happened to me. I seed them put the men and women in the stock with their hands screwed down through holes in the board, and their feet tied together, and they naked behinds to the world. Solomon, the overseer, beat them with a big whip, and master looked on. The niggers better not stop in the fields when they hear them yelling. They cut the flesh most to the bones, and when they taken some of them out of stock and put them on the bed, they never got up again. When niggers died, they let his folks come out to the fields to see him before he died. They buried him the same day. Take a big plank and bust it with an axe in the middle enough to bend it back, and put the dead nigger in betwixt it. They cart them down to the graveyard on the place, and not bury them deep enough that buzzards wouldn't come circling round. Niggers mourns now, but in them days they want no time for mourning. The cart shall blow afore daylight, and all hands better get out for roll call or Solomon bust the door down and get. It was hard work. Get beatings and half fed. They brung the victuals and water to the field on a slide, pulled by an old mule. Plenty of times there was only a half barrel of water, and it's stale and hot for all us niggers on the hottest days. Most we ate pickled pork and cornbread and peas and beans and taters. They never was as much as we needed.
Charlie Smith, who died the 5th of October 1979, was an American slave, claiming to be the oldest person in the United States at the time of his death on the 5th of October 1979 at age 137. However, bone age tests after his death in 1979 revealed that Smith was between 99 to 105 years old when he died. Smith stated that he had been born in Liberia in 1843, kidnapped to the United States at age 12, and sold into slavery in Louisiana to a Texas rancher. Here is his story.
I was born in 1843, and that makes me 94-year-old, and 18 year when the war starts. I've had experiences during that time. Massa Haley am kind to his colored folks, and him am kind to everybody, and all the folks likes him. The other white folks call we'uns the petted niggers. There am about 30 old and young niggers and about 20 pickaninnies too little to work, and the nuss cares for them while they mammies works. I's gwine explain how it am managed on Massa Haley's plantation. It am sort of like the small town, 'cause everything we uses am made right there. There am the shoemaker, and he is the tanner, and make the leather from the hides. Then Massa has about 1,000 sheep, and he gets the wool, and the niggers cards and spins and weaves it, and that makes all the clothes. Then Massa have cattle, and sich provide the milk and the butter and beef meat for eating. Then Massa have the turkeys and chickens and the hogs and the bees. With all that, us never was hungry. The plantation am planted in cotton, mostly, with the corn and the wheat a little, 'cause Massa don't need much of them. He never sell nothing but the cotton. The living for the colored folks am good. The quarters am built from logs like days all in them days. The floor am the dirt, but we has the benches and what is made on the place. And we has the big fireplace for to cook and we has plenty to cook in that fireplace, 'cause Massa allers lost plenty good rations, but he watch close for the wasting of the food. The war breaks, and that make the big change on the master's place. He joins the army and hires a man called Delbridge for overseer. After that, the hell start to pop, 'cause the first thing Delbridge do is cut the rations. He weighs out the meat, 3 pounds for the week, and he measure a peck of meal, and 'twant enough. He half-starve us niggers, and he want more work, and he start the whippings. I guesses he starts to edumacate 'em. I guess that Delbridge go to hell when he died, but I don't see how the devil could stand him. We is am not used to such, and some runs off. When they am cotched, there am a whipping at the stake. But that Delbridge, he sold me to Massa House in Blanco County. I sure glad when I sold, but it am short gladness, 'cause here am another man what hell am too good for. He gives me the whipping, and the scars am still on my arms and my back too. I'll carry them to my grave. He sends me for firewood, and when I gets it loaded, the wheel hits a stump and the team jerks, and that breaks the whipple tree. So he ties me to the stake, and every half hour for 4 hours they lays the lashes on my back. For the first couple hours the pain am awful. I's never forgot it. Then I stood so much pain, I not feel so much, and when they takes me loose, I's just 'bout half dead. I lays in the bunk 2 days, getting over that whipping, getting over it in the body but not the heart. No, sir, I has that in the heart till this day. After that whipping, I doesn't have the heart to work for the massa. If I seed the cattle in the cornfield, I turns the back instead of chasing 'em out. I guess that's the reason the master sold me to his brother, Master John. And he am good, like my first massa. He never whipped me. Then surrender am announced, and massa tells us we's free. When that takes place, it am about 1 hour by sun. I says to myself, I won't be here long. But I's not realized what I's in for till after I started, but I couldn't turn back.
Emancipation brought legal freedom, but not true liberation. For many formerly enslaved people, freedom simply meant new forms of hardship. When the Civil War ended, countless people found themselves without homes, employment, or means of survival. The Union soldiers who liberated them were not always regarded as benevolent rescuers.
I remember when the Yankees come along and took all the good horses and took sold all the meat and flour and sugar and stuff out in the river and let it go down the river. And they know the people wouldn't have nothing to live on, but they done that. We got free, we didn't know nothing to do. And my mother, she hunted places and bound us out for $1 a month, but we didn't have no property, we didn't have no home, we had nowhere, nothing, we didn't have nothing on it, just like the cattle, we were just turned out. And
get along the best you could.
Former slaves escaped one nightmare only to enter another, perhaps even worse. As property, they had at least held economic value to their owners. As free people, they became expendable. Here, Sarah Ashley tells what happened to her when she left the plantation where she lived and was freed.
When the boss man told us freedom was come, he didn't like it, but he give all us the bale of cotton and some corn. He asked us to stay and heap with the crop, but when's so glad to get way that nobody stays. I got about $50 for the cotton, and then I lends it to a nigger what never pays me back yet. Then I got no place to go, so I cooks for a white man named Dick Cole. He s'posen give me $5 de month, but he never paid me no money. He'd give me eats and clothes, 'cause he has the little store. Now I's all alone and thinks of them old times what was so bad, and I's ready for the law to call me.
The narratives and photographs from formerly enslaved Americans are gifts handed down to us, tough gifts, loaded with pain and injustice, but also resilience, insight, and honesty. These men and women gave their interviews knowing that their time was short. However, they wanted their stories to survive. They needed future generations to know the truth. When you look at these photos of elderly folks, think about what their eyes have seen. They lived through one of the darkest times in this country's history. They survived. They built families and communities as free people. And they lived long enough to pass their stories down because they wanted us to know what really happened. Their voices carry across the years, refusing to be ignored. They remind us that history is made up of individual human experiences. They challenge us to face difficult truths about our country's past, and they inspire us with their resilience and humanity. The question now is, are we listening? And what will we do with what we have learned? Well, there are thousands of former enslaved narratives, and I wish we had time to listen to more. However, I will give you some references where you can look online to find additional stories and resources. Here is a page of resources. As always, we will send a copy of this presentation for everyone who registered. I would like to thank everyone for watching our program. We look forward to bringing you more Sharon Historical Society programs soon. Until then, thanks for watching and for your support.